heroes. Um, that's what I would say about Drew. He's definitely somebody who's been around, who's probably counseled a lot of people's kids, a lot of adults, and he's volunteered for years in this community. So I would just say that he is an asset to Erie with the boxing. He's the number one boxing coach probably in Western Pennsylvania, and yeah, he's real humble. So you would never know it.
Right. Now, as a wife, like I mean, when you're married to a husband that has dreams and hopes of, he's a coach, which I've coached before. I know that takes a lot of time out of the home. Like, how would you, let's say somebody's coming up and they're married to somebody like that. What can you do as a spouse to support that, to let them know you're behind them, things like that?
Well, one thing I've always done is because I'm in marriage, people play their own roles. He has a role he plays. He keeps me level-headed, humble. He tells me the raw, honest truth about what I need to know about myself. And me, I'm more of a supporter. I'm more of a person that's like a giver. I'm more of a person that makes sure everything's taken care of. So I bring that to the relationship. So one thing that I've always made sure is that he has somewhere to express his boxing goals and his boxing career that he has with his students. I've always, made sure that, if we had to move from a building, there was another plan to go to the next building. So I feel like in a relationship, you have to support each other, and he does spend some time outside the home. He coaches every night for the most part, and there's times where he goes out of town. And then he supports me, like, if I need a break, he'll let me go, on, a little trip or something that I need to do. And he tries to support me, like, even with my business here. Like, sometimes he'll come down here and help me clean up or arrange my setup for parties. So we just kind of like a team. And I would suggest to any couples that you have to realize it's not about just you. It's not about just the other person. It's a give and take situation. No one in a relationship should be getting more than the other one. And I think that's a big issue for a lot of relationships, is that they don't know how to give and take. Everybody wants what they want, when they want it, how they want it. And sometimes you have to be flexible. I'm not even going to say sometimes, all the time.
All the time.
All the time.
So I think that's very important too, just to, be supportive. I mean, this person, that's one of their passions. Let them go ahead and not try to take it away from them.
Right.
But
you have to let people express who they are. And I've had this conversation with Drew about me, because sometimes, I can be a dreamer, but that's how I get things done. That's how I figure out I start off more as a dreamer, and he's more straight, pinpoint, decisive. He's more, I know what I'm going to do. I know I'm going to do it right now. I'm more of a, let me see what works for me, and I feel things out more than he does. But over the years, he's learned to love me for that person who I am. He knows I'm a dreamer. He knows I might just say, okay, who wants to do a pop-up shop? And he knows I might just say, come on, Julius, let's go sell your burgers today. So, and then I have to know that, he might have a fight next week, and I might have to have the kids all weekend. Right. So it's just like a compromise that we work together. It wasn't always that easy, trust me. We've had our ups and downs. We really have. Anybody would be dishonest if they say that they didn't have their ups and downs with their spouses. But we have really grown to love each other even more and work through these issues that we had as parents, especially because we do have our children and our twins. They need us to be as one in order to make sure that they have what they need as children with autism.
So, Andrew, we just have a couple more questions here today. I know you've lost both of your parents, and they were great parents, great role models for the community, beloved by the community.
Yeah.
How have you dealt with this? I mean, that you've lost both your parents already.
It's very hard, and just to be honest, like, I still, get emotional about it, and because my dad it ain't been a year since he been gone, and my dad, he was cool as a fan. Like, my dad, I don't even think my dad had no enemies. Like,
he was definitely a real, one of the realest people
you ever met. He could say anything to you, but it wasn't he'd say it to you so cool you wouldn't even be offended by nothing. He never I've never seen him have a crossword with nobody. You know, I know everybody who your dad and my dad was one of the best friends to each other, and he was just one of them people you could say anything to him and you never know what he might say to you. But you know he'd give you the shirt off his back. He was a giver. Like I think that's one reason why I'm so giving, because I see my dad might have $5 in his pocket. If you came up to him and he saw you was hungry, he would give it to you because he believed that God would bless him for blessing other people. And I think that's where I get a lot of that from. Not that my mom was, you know, a person that does that too. But my dad was just real laid back. And my mom was quiet, but she was a very humble woman. She never, you know, tried to push herself out front, but she was a leader, you know, in the church, and in the community. You know, when she passed, so many people who I didn't even know she had touched, you know, reached out to me and said, you know, your mom used to write me a note. Your mom used to send me, she mailed people cards and things like that. And I'm like, my mom mailed you a card? No, or she walked up to me and put $20 in my hand. She don't even know. I didn't have no groceries for my kids. I get a lot of that from my mom. She was more of a silent blesser, you know. So it's been difficult because our families are real close, just like you real close to your mom. You don't know how I feel, but you know the feeling of being so close to your parents.
Right.
Whereas some people aren't as close. We saw our parents every day.
Right.
Like, you know, I saw my mom and dad every single day. And, you know, my dad was sick for a long time, so he was more of a slow walk into his situation. It's almost like you knew something was coming, but my mom's situation was a little bit more difficult because we literally found out she was sick and 4 months later she was gone. So I think we're all still dealing with it in our own way, but we all trying to stick together and make sure that we are all good with each other. You know, I don't always see. I talk to my brothers and I talk to Mary every single day. I talk to Andrew, Harry, but we all try to work together because at this point we all we got. Your mom has been a key person in helping us keep ourselves together because she checks on us, but and she like a second mom anyway. We grew up together, so. But I would say when dealing with grief, you would have to just try to think. It's hard for somebody to tell you how to deal with your grief. Grieve the way you need to grieve, as long as it's not destroying nothing of in you or around you. Take your time to heal. You know, some people try to rush you. You know, 6 months later they say, "No, you still crying, or you still feel." You can't tell me. You can't put a timeline. Yeah, that's something that never goes away. And then when it happens to them, you know, they know. Like, now I know what you feel.
Right.
So, you know, I feel like when you do see somebody grieving, just be a support system more than judging them for how they're grieving, because we all grieve in different ways. And I know that I just keep busy,
Right.
you know, to keep my mind off of, you know, whatever may be going on. And, but I do think about them every single day.
Right. Couple more questions. Any advice for young mothers, wives that desire to start their own businesses, young mothers?
For young mothers, I will say this because I was married before to my oldest daughter's father, and I was probably way too young to get married. I was only 20. I see a lot of younger women getting married these days than, you know, when I was younger. I see a lot of girls in their 20s and, you know, early 20s getting married. But back when I was in my early 20s, they was all in college, and I was over here getting married. So I would just say, you know, as a young mother, I did have to quit school when I first was going there, had my daughter, and I had to move back home to Erie. I was living in Pittsburgh. One thing I would say is do not lose focus of your goals. Just because you have kids, look at your mom. She had 6 kids. She finished her degree and became very successful. And I had 2, which is not nearly as many, but I was going through a divorce. I had 2 children. I was, you know, on welfare myself. It's something I never talk about. Like, people, you know, a lot of times people, you know, they always talking about it. But I never really talk about it because I'm the type of person that, that was just a stepping stone. I used the system when I needed it, and when I didn't need it no more, I called them up and said, "Hey, I graduated. I got a job. Give it to somebody else." I'm more of a person like a progressive thinker. So I would say for young mothers to just think more progressively, think more towards the end goal than the situation you are in right now, because your current situation is not your final destination. You can rise above anything that you're going through right now. I was literally homeless, having a child, and then had another child right after that, and still drove to Pittsburgh, stayed with your brother Jerry, and finished my degree. So, you know, um, find you a good support system. It might not even be your family. It might be people in the community, friends, and just set you some goals and do it. Because when I had to come back home to Erie, wasn't my first choice, but I knew there was a goal I had to reach. I knew I had to graduate from college, and I knew I had to do it at all costs. And that's exactly what I did. And I knew I needed to go to graduate school in order to get the job that I wanted. So I did it. I didn't think twice about it. So that's one thing that I would say to young mothers is don't think twice about it. Don't overthink it. Just do it. Because especially if you're a mother, your kids need you to be that example that they need to see to break that generational curse that may be occurring in your family. So don't think about it, just do it. Just get it done. And you'll see and reap the benefits and rewards of your hard work at the end, and so will your children too.
Right. So we're here with, once again, we were here with Angela Euell McNair. She's Erie School Board Director, serial entrepreneur, community advocate. She started programs like got the Juneteenth festival going again in Erie, Pennsylvania. She did give credit to people who did come before her who did that, but she felt like she wants to bring that back to the forefront. She's done other things on the school board. She's started a lot of initiatives. She has her own children. Some of them are going on to college, things like that. She's a wife. So just a great role model and success story from her town. To finish up, Angie, is there any last words that you want to say before we finish up here today?
I would say be bold, set goals, and just get it done.
Well, there you have it. Those are the wise words from Angela Euell McNair. And Angela, we'd like to thank you for your time today. We really enjoyed listening to your great words and hearing about all the great things you've done. Thank you.
Thank you.